Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into a stack of articles and research, pulling out the most important insights to make you well-informed, fast. Today, we're tackling a topic that's not just changed the tools businesses use, but fundamentally transformed how they operate, make decisions, and measure success. We're talking about the profound impact of information technology. Our mission today is to unpack a collection of insights exploring how these IT developments have reshaped performance management and, perhaps most interestingly, the evolving roles within businesses. We'll trace this journey from the departmental silos of yesterday to the integrated AI-driven landscape of today.
And our goal isn't just to tell you what happened, but to dig into the why it matters, understand the, surprising shifts, and identify where this incredibly fast-moving future is really heading. Get ready to connect some crucial dots.
All right, let's cast our minds back. Imagine a business world before the digital revolution truly took hold, before integrated IT systems were even a glimmer in an IT manager's eye. What did that actually look like?
Oh, it was a world of silos, pure and simple. Each department had its own separate applications. The warehouse had its inventory system, manufacturing its planning tools, finance its accounting programs. And these systems, they rarely spoke to each other.
So information sharing was pretty manual?
Very manual, often meant someone physically re-entering data from one system into another, led to endless reconciliation headaches,
For big multinational companies, that challenge was multiplied like tenfold, right?
Absolutely. Think about a global corporation with subsidiaries all over the place. Each would have its own isolated systems. Head office might wait a month just for the monthly management accounts, and getting a consolidated financial picture for the entire organization, that could take another month on top.
Wow. It was like driving blindfolded.
Pretty much.
So if that was the problem, what was the game-changing solution that started to emerge? Back in the 90s, wasn't it?
That's right. That's where enterprise resource planning, or ERP systems, burst onto the scene. The big idea was revolutionary. Instead of all these fragmented systems, you'd have one comprehensive system. One system to serve the entire organization.
One system to rule them all, eh?
Uh-huh.
How did they actually manage to pull that off?
They built them with a modular structure, kind of like Lego bricks for business. You'd have a general ledger for accounting, an inventory control module, MRP manufacturing, resource planning for production, sales and purchase ledgers, payroll.
All the core functions.
Exactly. Even things like customer relationship management, CRM, and sales and marketing modules, all designed to integrate. The pioneers were names you definitely still hear today. SAP, Oracle, PeopleSoft, Buy-in was another big one back then.
And the advantages must have been pretty immediate.
Yeah.
Senior managers suddenly had a much clearer, maybe even real-time view of operations because all their data was in one central place.
A huge advantage. And it drastically cut down on data duplication. Imagine the time saved not having to manually enter the same customer order into 3 different systems.
Yeah, painful.
And it forced departments to become more aware of each other. An MRP system, for instance, could be directly linked to purchasing and inventory, making sure you had exactly what you needed when you needed it to support production plans. Less guesswork.
Right, so it wasn't just about efficiency, it changed how departments work together.
What's really transformative here is the evolution. You went from those early ERP systems, which sometimes still relied on simple interfaces linking things together, to truly unified corporate databases. This meant all organizational data resided in one central location, accessible by different modules.
Okay, so a single source of truth.
Precisely. And this level of deep integration allowed management to analyze data far more effectively, gain profound business insights. It also pushed organizations to shift from rigid functional silos to more agile, process-based structures. It helped break down those old departmental walls.
And enabled some new management approaches.
Yeah, things like activity-based management, ABM, which focuses on costing activities rather than just products, or business process reengineering, BPR.
Right, BPR, rethinking and redesigning business processes from the ground up.
Exactly. ERP provided the data backbone to support those kinds of major changes.
Okay, but what if a company had really old legacy systems? Or maybe they needed to hold on to vast amounts of historical data that just didn't fit neatly into a single unified ERP. That's where data warehouses stepped in, right? Tell us about those.
Yeah, data warehouses are essentially very large specialized databases. Their main job is to pull information from all those different, sometimes disparate legacy systems and consolidate it. A crucial step before storage, though, is cleaning the data. You have to remove duplicates, correct errors, standardize format.
Otherwise, garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. Without cleaning, you're just storing junk. It's useless for analysis.
And the purpose of all that cleaning and storage, what's the payoff?
It's all about making useful information readily available for management decision-making. This is the playground for big data analysis, where tools like data mining come into play. Data mining lets businesses uncover hidden patterns, interesting trends, or relationships that aren't immediately obvious.
Like what sort of things?
Oh, maybe how a certain sales campaign impacts specific customer segments, or what products are frequently purchased together. Things you wouldn't spot just looking at raw sales numbers.
Interesting. So how did this monumental shift in IT impact the human element? Specifically, thinking about the role of the management accountant. I recall reading about a study, Scapins and Jazayeri on SAP. It showed that while the data itself might not have fundamentally changed, the management accountant's role definitely did.
Precisely. That's a key point. Before ERP, management accountants often spent a lot of time on routine, almost clerical tasks. Things like calculating variances from standard costs, manually compiling reports, tedious stuff.
And number crunching.
Right. With ERP, much of that became automated. And crucially, non-financial managers gained direct access to data and could often generate their own basic reports.
So they didn't need the accountant just to get the numbers anymore.
Exactly. This meant the management accountant began shedding the scorekeeper hat. Their new role became less about just crunching numbers and more about being an internal consultant, interpreting complex operating performance and financial results, explaining them to non-financial managers, providing actionable insights.
So a shift from data entry and reporting to analysis and interpretation.
Absolutely. A much more strategic, value-added role.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Beyond just numbers, a critical resource for businesses, especially in high-tech or service industries, is knowledge itself. But how on earth do you manage something that, as one of our sources puts it, exists in the brains of staff? That sounds like a huge challenge.
It is, and that's precisely where knowledge management systems, or KMS, come in. Their core aim is to capture, store, and share organizational knowledge so it's readily available whenever staff need it.
Okay, so how do they work? Are there different types?
We typically categorize them into two main types. First, you have codified-based systems. These deal with formal, explicit knowledge stuff you can write down easily. Think tax regulations, product specs, detailed technical manuals, things with clear answers.
Right, the documented stuff.
Then there are personalization-based systems. These are more about facilitating staff sharing their tacit knowledge, the know-how, the experience, the insights. This often happens through things like internal social media pages, blogs, forums, or wikis. Think of tools like Zoho or even internal SharePoint sites used for collaboration.
Got it. And from a performance management angle, why are KMS so vital? What's the benefit?
Oh, they're absolutely crucial. They ensure staff the knowledge they need to do their jobs effectively. Think about new hires. A good KMS can dramatically reduce the time it takes for them to get up to speed.
Makes sense. Less time asking basic questions.
Exactly. And for customer service. A robust KMS means faster, more accurate solutions for customers, sometimes even directly through self-service portals. It ultimately helps the organization learn and adapt faster, captures that valuable brain power.
And speaking of adapting and customers, managing those relationships is obviously paramount, right? CRM.
It truly is. Customer relationship management, CRM, is all about managing the entire customer journey, from the very first contact as a potential lead, all the way through to retaining them as a loyal customer.
So acquisition and retention.
Both. It covers everything from acquisition campaigns designed to bring in new business to strategies focused on keeping existing customers happy, which, let's be honest, is often more cost-effective than constantly finding new ones.
True. So how do the IT systems support this?
Well, CRM IT systems, whether they're standalone like Salesforce, which is a huge player, or integrated modules within an ERP system like SAP are the engines behind this. They store all that crucial customer data, track every interaction, manage your sales pipeline, forecast sales, handle customer service tickets. It's the central hub for everything customer related.
Okay. What's fascinating when we look at the big picture is how the very backbone of IT, the networking, evolved to support all these complex systems. We started with those massive mainframe computers, didn't we? Where only a select few, maybe an accountant or an IT specialist, had limited access, very centralized.
Right, very locked down. Then the 1980s brought us PCs, the personal computer, That enabled distributed processing, individual accountants, managers, they could work on their own spreadsheets, their own documents.
But that wasn't really true sharing yet, was it? Just individual islands.
Not really. That's where client-server computing really changed the game. It linked those PCs to a central server. This allowed them to share services like printing, file storage, and eventually, crucially, internet access.
And that led to LANs and WANs.
Exactly. Local area networks, LANs, facilitated information sharing within a single office or building. Wide area networks, LANs, connected multiple LANs, often across different cities, maybe using dedicated phone lines initially.
But the true communication revolution, that was the internet, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The arrival of the internet for commercial use in the 1990s changed everything. Along with intranets, those private internal versions of the internet just for organization members, it completely reshaped how we communicate internally. And it enabled the rise of teleworking, allowing staff to connect to their workplace systems from anywhere.
And that flexibility, that remote access, that laid the groundwork for cloud computing, didn't it?
It really did. Cloud computing is a huge leap from those traditional IT setups.
Yeah, back in the day, if you wanted a new system, you'd buy servers, install them, buy software licenses, hire a whole IT department just to manage it all. Big upfront costs.
Exactly. Cloud computing completely flipped that model. Instead of owning the hardware and software, you essentially buy the right to use applications held remotely, accessed over the internet.
Like everyday stuff we use now.
Totally. Think about storage services you probably use, like Dropbox or Google Drive. That's cloud storage. Or software as a service, SaaS. That's where you access applications like Xero or QuickBooks directly from the cloud via your browser. No installation needed.
And it goes beyond just software, right?
Oh, yeah. You can get your entire system infrastructure that way. The cloud provider handles all the hardware, the operating systems, the software, the maintenance, backups, and you just log in and use it. Platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, different levels.
The advantages of that seem pretty compelling, especially for businesses.
They absolutely are. It turns what was traditionally a huge fixed capital cost, buying all that gear, into a variable operating expense. You generally only pay for what you use.
Pay as you go IT.
Pretty much. This makes systems incredibly scalable. You can quickly expand or contract your IT resources to match demand, avoiding massive upfront investments or having idle capacity.
And faster deployment, too.
Dramatically faster. A dispersed global organization can set up centrally managed systems in a fraction of the time it used to take. It really solidifies the standardization benefits we talked about with ERP. Everyone's on the same system, same version instantly.
Less remote access for management.
Huge benefit. Senior management gets remote, global access to data, enhancing real-time decision-making and information sharing across the board.
Now, some people might worry about security. That their precious data isn't on their own servers anymore. Is that a real concern with cloud?
It's a valid perception, and it's natural to feel like you're losing a bit of control if your data is physically on someone else's hardware. However, the reality is that major cloud providers, the Amazons, Microsofts, Googles of the world, invest billions in security. Absolutely billions. They have huge teams of cybersecurity experts, cutting-edge infrastructure, constant threat monitoring, levels of security that most individual companies simply can't afford or replicate in-house.
So, counterintuitively, it might actually be safer.
Often, yes. Your data is frequently safer in a major public cloud than it would be held in-house by a smaller, less resourced IT department. They live and die by their security reputation.
Okay, interesting. Beyond the cloud, another huge trend is process automation. This is all about processes being performed by machines, often using robotic process automation, RPA software, rather than humans. We've seen it in manufacturing for decades, obviously, like car production lines.
Classic example.
But it's rapidly expanding into services now, too. Things like bank transactions processed entirely automatically, or even robots assisting in surgical procedures.
Yeah, automation itself isn't new. You mentioned manufacturing, but think way back. Oliver Evans' flour mill in 1785 was almost fully automated, incredible for the time. But the recent advancements in computer tech, especially with AI getting smarter, have opened up possibilities for automation on an unprecedented scale.
There was that McKinsey report, wasn't there?
That's right, the 2017 McKinsey Global Institute report famously claimed that something like 49% of tasks globally could be automated with technology that already existed then. Nearly half.
Wow. And the benefits aren't just cutting jobs, are they?
No, not at all. It goes far beyond just labor savings, although that's often a driver. We're talking about greater throughput, getting more done faster, higher quality with fewer errors, improved safety, especially in hazardous environments, reduced variability in processes, so more consistency, and even increased customer satisfaction sometimes due to faster, more consistent service.
So, bringing it back to our friend the management accountant, how does all this automation impact their role? It seems fairly clear that the more routine transactional accounting tasks, things like basic data collection, processing payments, uploading bank transactions, maybe scanning invoices, those are the most likely to be automated by RPA or similar tech.
You're spot on. Those rules-based repetitive tasks are prime candidates. But what cannot be easily automated are the truly human advisory aspects of accounting.
The thinking parts.
Exactly. Interpreting complex information, analyzing trends, identifying root causes, understanding the context behind the numbers, and then providing strategic recommendations for decision-making and value creation that requires judgment, creativity, communication skills.
So automation actually frees up the management accountant to focus more on those higher value consultative activities.
Precisely. It further cements their role as a critical internal consultant and business partner rather than just a number cruncher. The tech handles the routine, the human handles the insight.
That leads us perfectly into the realm of intelligence and insight, starting with artificial intelligence and machine learning. Big buzzwords. How do we define AI simply? And what's this difference between weak and strong AI people talk about?
Okay, at its core, AI is about machines exhibiting human-like capabilities. Things like thinking, understanding, reasoning, learning, or perception. Now, computer scientists often differentiate between weak AI, sometimes called narrow AI. This is AI designed to perform specific tasks extremely well.
Like what?
Think a self-driving car navigating roads, or a chess-playing computer like Deep Blue, or even your phone's voice assistant understanding commands. Very good at one thing.
Okay. And strong AI.
Strong AI, or artificial general intelligence, AGI, would possess general human-level intelligence. It would be capable of learning and applying intelligence across any task, much like a human can adapt. That kind of strong AI is still largely in the realm of science fiction, despite what some headlines might suggest. We're nowhere near it yet.
Right. So where did AI applications start in business? And what's a real leap we've seen recently with machine learning?
Well, early AI applications included things called expert systems. These were basically programmed with a set of rules, often if-then rules, to make decisions, like systems used for giving car insurance quotes based on driver profiles, or maybe supporting medical diagnoses based on symptoms. They were smart, but rigid. They only knew the rules they were given.
Limited.
Exactly. The real leap, the one making headlines today, is machine learning. This is fundamentally different. This is where machines literally learn from experience by identifying patterns in vast data sets without being explicitly programmed for every single scenario. They figure things out themselves.
Okay, can you give us a concrete example of that learning process? Make it real.
Sure. Think about the Altman Z-score model. It's a well-known financial tool, a formula, used for decades to predict company bankruptcy based on a few financial ratios.
Right, I know that one.
A traditional program would just calculate that score based on the predefined formula. Plug in the numbers, get a score. But a machine learning approach is different. It could analyze millions of historical company data points, financial ratios, market trends, news sentiment, industry data, you name it. And based on all that data of companies that did or didn't go bankrupt, it could create its own, potentially more robust and nuanced model for predicting distress. It finds patterns the original Z-score never considered.
And it keeps learning.
Exactly. As it gets fed more and more company data over time, it continuously refines and updates its model, potentially becoming far more accurate than any static formula could ever be. That's true learning from data.
That's incredibly powerful. So for management accountants, what does AI and machine learning really bring to the table? How does it help them?
Oh, it's a potential game changer for insight. AI can provide new, deeper insights from data analytics, often spotting complex correlations or anomalies that a human analyst might completely miss in huge data sets. It's proving fantastic for things like fraud detection by identifying unusual transaction patterns that deviate from the norm, much faster and more comprehensive than manual checks.
Forecasting.
Big impact there, too. It enables much more accurate forecasts by thoroughly analyzing vast amounts of internal and external environmental data, economic indicators, competitor actions, social media trends, going far beyond what manual analysis could ever hope to achieve.
Okay. But with all this data and all these complex analyses, how do we make sense of it quickly? It can be overwhelming. That's where data visualization comes in, right?
Absolutely. Data visualization techniques are all about presenting complex data visually, charts, graphs, maps, so that the story behind the data can be quickly grasped. It's the ultimate embodiment of a picture is worth 1,000 words. Think of Harry Beck's classic London Underground map.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant design.
Exactly. A complex, sprawling network made instantly clear and navigable through clever visualization. That's the goal.
And why is data visualization so critical now, more than ever?
Because of the sheer explosion of data we've been talking about. We're awash in it, from smartphones, from IoT devices, social media, sophisticated analytics platforms running AI models. We need better ways to see the patterns. Thankfully, modern tools like Microsoft Power BI, Tableau, Click's, they're incredibly powerful.
What do they offer?
They offer real-time updates, amazing high-quality graphics, interactivity. They make it easier than ever to create impactful visual representations that distill vast data sets into understandable insights. You don't need to be a graphic designer anymore.
What are some of the most common techniques we see used?
Well, you'll frequently encounter dashboards. These summarize key performance indicators, KPIs, all in one place at a glance, often with drill-down capabilities so you can click to see more detail. Waterfall charts are great for showing how components add up to a total, maybe showing positive and negative contributions to profit.
Right, seeing the build-up.
Exactly. And mapping charts are essential for visualizing geographical data sales performance by region, customer distribution, that sort of thing.
And the real benefit is just making it easier to understand complex stuff quickly.
That's the core benefit. Visual presentation focuses attention. It allows users to quickly spot outliers, identify trends, understand complex relationships far more easily than trying to sift through endless rows and columns in a giant spreadsheet. It brings the data to life.
And speaking of data explosion, another source you mentioned, the Internet of Things, or IoT. What exactly is that in simple terms?
IoT refers to, well, basically physical devices, objects that are connected to the internet and continuously send and receive information. Data is flowing all the time.
We're surrounded by them now, aren't we?
Totally. Your smartphone is an IoT device. Smart speakers like Alexa or Google Home, fitness trackers monitoring your steps. And in a business context, things like machine control devices on a factory floor, smart meters, connected vehicles.
Okay. And how is that relevant for businesses? What are the applications?
In business, the applications are immense and growing fast. Think about sensors on machinery. They can monitor performance in real time, vibration, temperature, whatever. This allows them to identify potential faults before they cause a breakdown. That's predictive maintenance, saves a fortune.
Smart. What else?
You can monitor precise conditions like fridge temperatures in supermarkets or pharmaceutical supply chains to ensure compliance and prevent spoilage. Logistics companies use it to track shipments in real time.
And for management accountants, why should they care about IoT?
For management accountants, IoT is a goldmine. It's a source of incredibly granular, real-time operational data for analysis, huge volumes of it. It offers potentially deep insights into everything from operational efficiency, how machines are actually performing, to customer behavior, how products are being used in the real world. That kind of data can be invaluable for strategic decision-making, product development, service improvement.
Wow. Okay, so pulling all these threads together, ERP, cloud, automation, AI, IoT, visualization. What are the overarching implications of these massive IT developments for how organizations manage and measure their performance? It sounds like there's just a phenomenal amount of easily accessed and shared information now available. Does that make traditional financial information less dominant, maybe?
That's a really interesting question. And yes, I think it does shift the balance. A significant consequence is that managers and employees across the organization can now find much of the information they need themselves, directly from these systems. As we discussed, this has fundamentally changed the management accountant's role. Less the primary information provider, more the information interpreter and advisor.
And it helps collaboration.
Definitely. On the positive side, this whole digital transformation fosters much better collaboration and information sharing across the organization. It really supports that process view we talked about earlier, focusing on end-to-end process and meeting customer needs, rather than just optimizing within functional silos.
But with all that information flooding in, is there a downside? Can managers get overwhelmed, maybe miss the important stuff?
Absolutely. That's a key weakness and a real risk. With so much data available from so many sources, managers can easily struggle to see the big picture. Information overload is real. They might not know which data points are truly significant or how different pieces fit together.
Which is where the accountant steps back in.
This is precisely where the management accountant becomes indispensable again, but in that evolved role. Their job shifts to sifting through the noise, using their expertise to interpret the data, highlighting what's most important for senior management, providing context, and crucially, explaining how financial and non-financial data interlink to tell the complete organizational story. They connect the dots that might otherwise be missed in the flood.
That makes sense. Now, as we're generating and collecting so much more data about everything and everyone, that raises some pretty important ethical considerations, doesn't it?
It certainly does. The increased ability to gather incredibly detailed information about individuals, whether they're customers or employees, undeniably raises significant privacy concerns. There's a real threat of data misuse, discrimination, or other harms if this data isn't managed carefully and ethically.
Which has led to regulation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is why regulations like the EU's General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, which came into effect in 2018, are so important. And similar laws are popping up elsewhere. They represent society's attempt to establish rules of the road for how personal data is collected, stored, processed, and used, trying to strike a balance between fostering innovation and protecting individual rights and privacy. It's an ongoing challenge.
Absolutely. It's clear this whole field is moving at lightning speed. So, for anyone listening who wants to stay on top of these developments, which seems pretty essential, what are your recommendations? Where can people look?
Yeah, staying up to date is crucial, and it's not easy. I'd highly recommend looking at reports and briefings from professional accounting bodies like ACCA, CIMA, AICPA. They often publish excellent insights specifically for finance professionals. Also, keep an eye on publications from the major accounting and consulting firms, the Big Four, and others. They invest heavily in researching these trends.
Any other resources?
And for maybe a more digestible, sometimes entertaining look at complex tech developments, there are some fantastic YouTube channels out there. Something like Crash Course Computer Science can offer a really good layman's guide to the underlying principles. It helps to understand the basics.
Great tips. Wow, what a deep dive. We've really covered the profound transformation that information technology has brought to organizations and how they manage and measure performance. From those foundational ERP systems that broke down the old silos, through the rise of cloud computing and automation, all the way to the cutting edge of AI, data visualization, and the Internet of Things. It's been quite a journey.
It really has. And perhaps a final thought to leave you with. As technology continues its relentless, rapid advancement, we encourage you to consider, how will the next wave of IT things we might not even foresee clearly yet further redefine business roles and strategies? And more importantly, what is your unique role in leveraging these ongoing shifts to gain even deeper insights and drive greater impact for yourself and your organization? Food for thought.